So many close calls, so many years, both with the national team and with Tottenham Hotspur, and even his first season with Bayern Munich somehow goes trophyless there. He gets his Bundesliga title. One of the reasons we absolutely love football is moments like this, where curses are broken. Major trophy droughts were ended this season for Tottenham Hotspur, for Newcastle United, Bologna, Crystal Palace, of course, Harry Kane, finally, he gets his trophy, and on we go. A fantastic season for some of these beautiful storylines that we get in football. And let's start by breaking some of these down, and we start with the Europa League, fresh on our minds. Have you heard the saying, it's a face only a mother could love? Well, that Europa League final was a final that only Tottenham Hotspur fans would love. They finally get it done. Not the most thrilling football game, but a fantastic achievement nonetheless for Tottenham. It's been the joke for so long, right? The empty trophy case for Tottenham Hotspur. They finally get it done and they win a major trophy. What does this mean for them? Well, the funny thing is that in watching that video and talking about droughts that were much, much longer, you're almost wondering, what are the Tottenham fans complaining about? You haven't waited 50 years. You haven't waited 90 years. You haven't waited 100 years. But look, for the Tottenham fans, I understand this is a club that thinks of itself as a big club that has a massive stadium that is in London that should be competing for major honors. I think it's sort of that untapped potential that is the biggest factor. And I think the biggest thing about the manner in which they achieved it is even going back to the second leg that they played against Bodo Glimt, the manner in which they achieved it is solid, professional, defensively sound, both in this season, last season, just generally the history of Spursiness, as it will, if you will. I think that sort of idea is they find every available opportunity to throw away when they can. They didn't yesterday. Kept a clean sheet in the Europa League final. They kept a clean sheet in the second leg against Bodo Glimt. They were relentlessly solid throughout this competition, if sometimes unspectacular. And I think for Ange Postecoglou, what an achievement to get that level of tune out of the team. And he said afterwards, look, we can talk about our league finish. It was terrible. The biggest thing that I wanted to do to really change things, the only way we're going to change things is not finishing third in the league. It was winning something. And he's done it. And now we'll see if he can now go on and build on that and actually affect the mentality at this football club. Yep. And said he would win in his second season, and he got it done. You love to see it. Talk about long droughts. Crystal Palace, 164 years of a club, never won a major trophy, and they finally get the FA Cup and defeating Manchester City, no less, a team that has won everything for the last decade or even more than that, and they get it done. A fantastic performance, and the crowd shots were epic. I mean, amazing. Seeing the reaction from some of these fans, 90-year-old fans that have never seen anything, just absolutely weeping. It's why we love football. What an incredible achievement for them. Yeah, spectacular. And I think not just, again, the fact that they did it, it's the manner in which they achieved it. And you look back on these other finals, you remember Alan Pardew's Crystal Palace in 2016, he's doing the dance in the dugout, and then they go and throw it away. And you just sort of wonder if the players and the manager feel that in those moments. And even in the semifinal against Aston Villa, very good Aston Villa side, they were spectacular. And they were amazing in this final as well. The manner in which they defended late stages. I think Oliver Glasner is a manager that he doesn't feel the weight. He doesn't know in full what it means to have that burden upon you of not having won anything. You can read it, but the fans are the ones that feel it. He, I think, and even talked about it in the build-up, about the joy, about let's go and have a great day out. And if you go and win the game, you go and win the game. But the way that they defended, particularly in that second half, the number of headers that Chris Richards won and the number of times that City tried and tried and tried again, but couldn't get through this team. What a day. And again, this is what cup finals are all about. The days that those fans will never forget. Yeah, and the manager said it too after the game. This is the moment we gave to the fans, to have this moment to celebrate and to remember for the rest of their lives. And again, that's what the beauty of football. We go from South London to the north of England, Newcastle United. I feel like it was coming right after the ownership change and the investment that they put into this club. A trophy was eventually going to come after 70 years. They win the League Cup, they're beating Liverpool in the final. And a city that is football mad finally get to celebrate a trophy. Without question. And I think the way, again, that they achieved this, and they were dominant against Arsenal in the semifinal. They were really good in that final against Liverpool as well. But to your point, this was always going to come. This project, I think, had a lot of ambition at the beginning. They did have a down year last year, though. They missed out on Europe.
They were not great in the Champions League. They got knocked out on the group stage. And I think you wondered if it had stagnated. And you also wondered that if Newcastle didn't have the season that they were having this year, if they're going to be able to keep the big-name players that they went and got. Sven Botman, Sandro Tonali, Alexander Isak, obviously, up front. There are all these players that came in and were part of a new Newcastle. And so they needed to justify that this season by winning something. And then it seems like they're on the way to qualifying for the Champions League. But again, this is one where this is a reward for an incredible manager in Eddie Howe and an incredible group of players that actually went and exerted their identity, that dominated their opponents, some of the best teams in the Premier League on their day, the teams that are above them in the table, in Arsenal and Liverpool, in order to get here. This is a competition that, once you get to the business end, everyone is caring about and everyone is trying to go for. Newcastle, we're just the best team in it.
Yeah. Let's get to Italy now. Coppa Italia, Bologna win a trophy, and weren't the favorites, even though they have been better this season than Milan. You were on the call for that match. Bologna get it done. Vincenzo Italiano going to Bologna to get the Champions League football. And he said that even though they didn't do well in Champions League, that experience propelled them to be able to win this trophy against Milan in Coppa Italia.
Yeah, you go back to the league phase, and I think after 6 games, they had 2 points. They were at the basement of the table. But Vincenzo Italiano got through that period, is implementing his style of play, lost Riccardo Calafiori, lost Joshua Zirkzee to the Premier League. He's a new manager coming into a club that do not have the expectation of winning. We mentioned the streak. It's been since 1974 that they won Coppa Italia, that they won a major trophy. This season was their first ever season in the Champions League. And so you can kind of expect for a club like Bologna that in the seasons before that had finished 12th or 13th in Serie A to all of a sudden not quite be able to deliver. But then the Champions League happens. But look at the quality of opposition they're playing. Liverpool, Villa, Monaco, Lille, Benfica, and then you finally get the victory, your first victory of the Champions League against Borussia Dortmund. You follow it up with a draw against Sporting, and over the course of that Champions League, Vincenzo Italiano learned about his team. He knew the best ways to deploy it. He found Dan Ndoye was amazing down that left side. He found that combination of Dalinga up front with Orsolini out wide. That midfield all of a sudden started to work, and I think he finally figured out what was his best team for the stretch run of the season, and they were spectacular. They could still have qualified for the Europa League genuinely through their league position. They're through to the Europa League anyway by winning Coppa Italia. They get the trophy, and I think are a genuine contender next season if Italiano stays and they keep that core around to maybe even compete at the business end of the Europa League next season.
His reactions after the match were fantastic, too. When he goes up to the fans, it's just looking at them, and he just has this, like, beautiful smile on his face, just staring at the fans. It was great to see. We head to the Netherlands because Go Ahead Eagles, they end a 92-year drought for a trophy as they win the KNVB Cup. Another side that, again, had to go through so many struggles and so many years of just terrible football to finally get up and win a trophy. Massive for them.
Yeah, they're most known for their name, Go Ahead Eagles. You look at the Dutch Eredivisie and go, there's a club called Go Ahead Eagles in the Eredivisie. And then they go on and win a trophy in a league where, obviously, PSV, Feyenoord, Ajax are always the ones that tend to hoover up the trophies. And to get that position when they would have been, we'll show the highlights that are on the show of the Europa Conference playoffs. They would be in that Europa Conference playoffs. Instead, they go straight through to the Europa League. So that European competition for them is going to be amazing. And again, this is about memorable days. This is about what the fans of Go Ahead Eagles can reasonably expect, which is to stay in the Eredivisie and maybe one day they'll give us the joy, and they got the joy of winning the KNVB Cup.
Again, yeah, like it's what it's about. It's about creating memories for the fans that they'll never forget for the rest of their lives. All these clubs won a trophy and end their droughts. An individual who finally gets to lift his first trophy was Harry Kane with Bayern Munich. So many close calls, so many years, both with the national team and with Tottenham Hotspur, and even his first season with Bayern Munich somehow goes trophyless there. He gets his Bundesliga title. I'm very happy for him. His celebration as well was so Harry Kane. He goes on Twitter and just tweets a trophy emoji. It's so Harry Kane. That's how he celebrates. It was great to see and well-deserved for one of the best strikers in this generation.
Yeah, and again, you look at not just one of the best strikers of this generation, but I think what this is meant to illustrate is his path through football. He started with the mighty Leyton Orient, then going to Millwall and Leicester and Norwich on loan. And you're thinking when he gets to Tottenham, is this Tottenham material? Which is quite something to say. And the fact that he went on to score 280 times, been amazing for Bayern, been amazing with England as well, scoring 71 goals for them. But England got to a Euros final. They got to a World Cup semifinal. They got to another Euros final. And Harry Kane, it seems like on the major final day, the Champions League final as well with Tottenham against Liverpool, he seemed to always get there injured. You seem to always get there in a position to not be able to help towards the team. The fact that he's able to win the Bundesliga, which, let's be honest, is the bare minimum with Bayern Munich over the course of 2 years. One trophy is probably the bare minimum, but still, for him, it's just one of those where the social media conversation is so annoying. The conversation just in general, I imagine, in life for him is so annoying. He's won something. Let's move on.
And it could be open to the floodgates because we've seen Bayern Munich go on and win 10 Bundesligas in a row. They could go back on that type of a streak with Harry Kane at the helm at that number 9 position. But I'm happy to see him win something. He deserves it. Like you said, one of the best players in this generation that we've been able to watch. And he finally gets that trophy.